Not what I meant to do. Hello, everybody. Do you like my shirt? It's the wonderful thing about having a machine at home. I can have one on call whenever I need. So today I'm going to start with one thing, a clip that came out a couple hours ago from the Wall Street Journal CEO Council. Okay. So, that's the great thing about so I research so much stuff that the algorithms and the AI and the bias bubbles that are meant to like filter people certain information and not others, they feed me everything. So I wanted to bring this up. So keep in mind that he is at the Wall Street Journal CEO Council currently. This was Now, if you don't want to pay for a subscription, you can look around and search and not have to pay, and you can get this feed. So what I mentioned in here was pay attention to who he is at with, not just what he says. Because this is Lena Khan. I know Lena because I testified for COPA. She is the chair of the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, who the Child Online Privacy Protection Act that protects our children in the upcoming Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act, MIARES, that is comprehensive, and it especially gives parents an opt-in provision for children under 13. And that includes all children that are consumers, which could be education software, which is in every school, opt in, not just to mention, and that's all, it's enormous. And yet here we are again. I'm saying that nobody's talking about the Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act. One. So COPA is the law that protects our children from data collection under the age of 13. But yet we have our Secretary of Education, Data Quality Campaign founder, Amy Gadara, but has anybody ever heard? I can pull up probably 15 years of speeches about her talking about data transparency because she believes in it so much that it's got to be transparent. It has to be, it has to be, if it's going to be used correctly. But has anybody heard PEEP? No. Why? They need the data. And I'll get to that later. So keep in mind in the future, because I'm going to continuously be reminding you that he's at this thing with Lena Khan, who is an avid, so we talk about FTC, we talk about antitrust. And so she talks about unfair competitive practices. So that would be things like sole sponsorship or sole source contracts that every division has for the same 20 ed tech technology that nobody's talking about, all coming from Bill Gates and Chan Zuckerberg, the same people that she sues and currently is suing Meta. She sued Bill Gates. Why? Because they hate people that suck up and there's no consumer rights. They suck like Amazon, there's no competition. And they also work with antitrust. So to ignore that this is what's going on in education, especially when you have Data Quality Campaign, the second most funded company ever by Bill Gates, as our Secretary of Education, that cannot be ignored. So I'm not going to play these, but she talks about unfair competitive practices, accountability for agency violations of agency rules. That would be our entire state, not knowing COPA is going on. But then, and then she also talks about the nation's ticket fiasco shows risk of creating companies too big to care. That's everything in education. Okay. So as Youngkin globalizes Virginia, he's bringing all Lego Metaverse is going to be 2 miles down the road from me. Hanover already has a Lego Metaverse contract. Gamification in education is very scary. It is very real. And it is who's bringing it in? Glenn Youngkin. So if you're not ready to fight back when your child is issued a pair of VR goggles and they're playing Minecraft to get educated for the fourth industrial revolution, don't say I didn't warn you, because it's here. It's here. And it's part of the distortion of reality. Okay. Because did you know that Virginia is one of the only states that does not have any textbooks? Yeah, that's true. Zero. One of the only states that has zero. You can't opt out. The special ed kids can't opt them out. There's no provisions for them. Dyslexia, don't care. Need a book? Nope. No phonics. We're going to have science or reading. Okay, guys. So this is something that I'm going to continue to bring up, but I just want you to know and remember who he's there with, because that way he can't claim ignorance. He's with the FTC chair, Lena Khan, who is currently reviewing COPA on data collection on children. Keep that in mind. He's there with a lot of people that our governor, who has a rogue nation going on, shouldn't be there with. He should be governing his state instead of globalizing it. So, so the Trump post on Truth. Okay. Anybody that reads that as he wants to get rid of the Constitution, I don't even know what kind of reading. It's not even sight words. It's not even the deliberate dumbing down. Like, you literally cannot, unless you have one, maybe a half of a brain cell, you literally cannot read that as what they're saying. So Youngkin goes on to say, and I'm going to play it, criticize former Trump's recent suggestion that the Constitution should be, let's see, are they going to pull it up, or is it going to be mainstream media? Okay, it doesn't even take you to the comment, so sorry. I was just looking at that. And by the way, I wanted to throw in there that his supposed racist comment, Trump, against Youngkin. If you don't know anything about the World Economic Forum in 2020, when Youngkin was there with China, talking about economics, it wasn't a racial slur. It was a jab that only intelligent people that know Youngkin, it was a jab at him. Like, he was like, sounds Chinese, doesn't it? Okay. It wasn't a racial slur. It was, and I will show you that video shortly, is that when you have our governor on the stage in Davos, Switzerland, in the World Economic Forum, talking with China about global policy and economics and America's resilience, that's what Youngkin or Trump was referring to. If you're not bright enough to know what he was talking about, and that's the problem with Trump. It's not the problem. I love it because it's like I tell people, if you're not smart enough to keep up, I can't help you there. I try to, but that was absolutely that was a jab at Youngkin because Youngkin, Trump was there in Davos when he was speaking on the stage with China. Get that together real quick before we call him a racist, okay? Learn what you're talking about, and maybe you could be as brilliant and as rich and as successful as Donald Trump. Or you could be a total sellout to Virginia and the nation as a sovereign nation and be a Glenn Youngkin. Take your pick. Guys, if you thought that I was going, no, let's be clear. I'm going to keep rolling on Youngkin Truth. I might open up one eye on one person every day, but if this is literally the final solution, and I'm going to go through a history of videos quickly, clips from videos, so that you remember the campaign as I do, and then you can actually look and say and admit to yourself what was promised has not been delivered. Because if you haven't been able to do that yet, especially if you have children, God help you. God help you. Because I'm going to show you how many times he talks about our children and how we matter. And even weeks ago, whether it was Vega, Hung Cow, Kagan, I mean, literally talk or in stumping in states across the nation who don't know Virginia is not okay. One of my favorite delegates asked me if I would make her a shirt. I said delegate, not senator. So let's not bring that together. Okay. Virginia is not okay. All right. If you haven't gotten that yet. Like I talked to somebody with FAIR, Foundation Against, I'm having brain fart, and racism. And they're in New Hampshire, and they were like, "Wait, we thought Youngkin fixed that." And I was like, "Can you please spread the word? Virginia is not okay. Like, as goes Virginia, goes the nation is not something that we want to continue to say. You want to say, hell no, not Virginia red, not Virginia, because it's not only the red wave, it's the red scare of 2021. So he goes on to say, he recognized what he had done because he was walking it back yesterday. Mr. Youngkin said Tuesday at Wall Street Journal's CEO Council Summit. I completely disagree with his comment. So for Youngkin, you have to learn to read his words. So he completely disagrees with Trump's comment, which was about, and I didn't share the video, or the clip of the image. So I'm going to pull it up and read it to you. If I can find it. But we know that he was talking about election fraud. He was talking about specifically election fraud, the problems of violating things like this in our election. Okay, here it is. So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deceit and deception, and working closely with big tech companies and the DNC and the Democratic Party, do you throw out presidential elections of 2020? Do you throw the presidential elections of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner? Or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Or our great fathers did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. Tell me where he says he's going to throw out the Constitution. Can't make it happen. Unless you have, well, you could. If you got educated in Virginia and you were taught to think critically as a kindergartner for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, you might read that way. But that's anybody that was actually taught education and academics would never be able to put that together unless you're just a moron, or you're lying, or you're swamp swimming. So let's talk about Youngkin's comment right here. He says, I completely disagree with this comment. And, I'm going to real quick, I just really need to send myself this image. Because we need to look and compare. So, sorry. I'm going to pull that up. So we have to, again, with Glenn Youngkin, you have to listen to the words coming out of his mouth. You have to process them. And you have to know to process them, because going back and watching his videos that I was at, I picked and chose, I didn't know to question the word, or do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? I'm going to show you a lot of these I shot live from Clarksville, Virginia, from Burke, Virginia, from different places that I was working for him. But see, I'm humble enough that when I saw the writing on the wall, mainly being because I was warned by certain friends of mine that I didn't know what a globalist was. I, like many people, could not imagine anybody worse than Terry McAuliffe. I would take Terry McAuliffe over this any day. Why? Because liberals are driven by hate and insanity. Okay? You know what you're fighting with a liberal. You know what you're up against. And so when I hear people say, well, what was the other option? You are obviously not aware or listening to how bad and how horrific our future, and much less but mostly our children's future, because this generation, once they get educated for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, for global citizenship, which requires social justice and the gender fluidity required. Look it up. Global citizen education. Guys, I'm good at what I do, but it's all out there. You can find 800 people say, where'd you get that picture? Where'd you get that picture? You can find the same one 800 different places. So it's out there. Okay. So the reason that ban CRT, remember that on day one, I'm going to ban CRT, never happened. We got a divisive ideology guidance and an education policy for the people who still think that guidance meant he banned CRT. No, an education policy, a guidance is like a would you please. It's not a law. It's not a policy. It's not anything. It's just like it sounds. It's a guidance. Please do it this way. It's nothing. It is nothing. It's not an executive order. It's nothing. Oh, you don't want to listen to it? Okay, I was just trying to tell you. Okay, so let's keep in mind what this man ran on. The back of a rape victim, and a transgender rape victim. He was very strong. I'm going to get to that again in a second. And ban CRT. So the reason why Glenn Youngkin will never do that is because he cannot accomplish this global citizenship because it has to be part of it, and that involves UNESCO, World Economic Forum. You cannot make that many dots not connect and not make it comprehend. Especially sitting here looking on the eve, almost 1 month out, of him taking office and the fact that our children are no better off than they were under Northam. Okay. The only difference is Northam created the Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act. Youngkin is not talking about it. So it does make it scarier. And I wish that I had never said in 2020 that I would vote for Big Bird. These are my words. I'm humble. I would vote for Big Bird to keep Terry McAuliffe out of office. Because I took that orange man bad. I got so tired of hearing that as their argument that I was like, I would vote for Big Bird, which is not normally how I think. It's like R or L. Okay, I use my brain. But after 2020, I was like, I would do anything to keep that lunatic out of office. Now I would go back. Well, first of all, what people don't know either is that both of them had the same education agenda. Education excellence being workforce driven. That's what makes Virginia different than a lot of states, is that it is not as swampified, especially in education. You have people like Elizabeth Warren and Mackey who fight data collection. Why? Because they say it targets transgender, whatever. We don't even have the lunatics who believe wholeheartedly. I mean, we have 2 on our school board who think that children are trans. They should not determine what gender they are when they're born. That white women who hate white people, that drive equity, thinking it's actually educating children of color when it's not. And that doesn't make me racist for saying that. You're pushing them through without an education. Bravo, Chesterfield County. You're not serving anyone. Same thing I said to the NAACP at the last meeting, and I can't wait to see them next week at the Board of Education. So this is what was said. So with the widespread revelation, okay, massive widespread fraud and deception, okay, a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles. So if you take that as him saying he's going to get rid of the Constitution, allows for the termination of all rules, it does. What is that? Even those found in the Constitution. It does. When you ignore widespread, massive fraud and deception that is proven, it does allow for the termination. He doesn't advocate for it. We terminate our rules, regulations, and articles every day freely when you don't speak truth about the Constitution and the Supreme Court and what actual fundamental rights are. We terminate them ourselves. But even if he did say that, if you're not aware, the Constitution, when it was written, it is not only our duty, it is our duty to overthrow an unjust government that does not give life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's just me off the top of my brain, because they came from somewhere they didn't want to be. We are only one of the only nations that has it in not the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, that it is your duty to overthrow an unjust government. So even if he did say that, the argument is still gone. Honey, go downstairs. This is not the time, okay? Excuse me 1 second. Hey, I'll be right there, okay? You want to come say hi? Will that make you smile? Huh? 1 second. And then you got to, I'm just talking to myself, see? Everybody, this is my why. Say hi. Okay, go downstairs. All right. Hey, I'll be down. Go play with Sissy. Please. Thank you. So that's what my life is like, guys. I have kids too. 5 and almost 13. So the excuse that I have is that, oh, I work. Guess what? I work for free 16 hours a day. I actually go into debt doing this. So I'm just tired of the excuses. That's my why. You see that beautiful glow of innocence? That's because she's not in Chesterfield County Public School System. Period. That's what I fight to protect. Because they get this tiny window that the right and the left are driving to destroy because nobody will acknowledge truth. So that's what he said. Hold on 1 second. That's what he said. Hold on. So real quick, and then so I'm going to play this video for you guys from the Wall Street Journal so you can hear. But keep in mind, that's what he said. I completely disagree with this comment. So then this is how a researcher thinks. We then go to the comment. He disagrees with this comment. He's talking. This is a man who is so intelligent. He was CEO of Carlyle. Okay. He can talk economic policy, business all day long. Okay. So you have to go, wait, what comment is he disagreeing with? He's talking about a comment about massive fraud and deception that he refuses to acknowledge exists. That's what he's talking about. So, and then let's watch I'm gonna let you watch the video. Oh, of course there's an ad. Sorry, you're gonna have 12 seconds. Here, I'll minimize me. So just, well, it's I'm not gonna make you watch the ad for something. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go.
Voices in your party have suggested also that former President Donald Trump is a liability, following losses in 18, 20, 22. Do you agree or disagree with that assessment?
I think that, first of all, President Trump, former President Trump, is going to do what he's going to do. It just is. And the reality, of course, is, as a governor, I'm going to do what we need to do in Virginia. And I just think that at the end of the day, when we look at scorecards, voters want to reward candidates that are getting things done and that are looking ahead to deliver results. And I think this will end up being the telltale of this entire era of elections, which is it is about results. People are tired of talk. They want to see actions. Doesn't mean you have to compromise away what you believe. It means you have to do a better job of grounding what you're doing in real facts, why it's gonna deliver the outcomes.
This is one more on President Trump. For now, I mean, there's still the audience. He's already declared himself a candidate for 2024. Do you think his recent statement about terminating provisions of the Constitution should disqualify him as a nominee?
Yeah, so first of all, I guess he recognized what he had done because he was walking it back yesterday. And
can somebody tell me or share with me how he walked it back?
Comment that I'm a Virginian. The father of the Constitution is James Madison. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration.
Wait. Is he talking about Virginia history as it's wiped off the map and he won't talk about it? Every day, pieces of Virginia history are destroyed, dismantled, put in like national treasure, like that scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like they just disappear into oblivion. Wait, you're a Virginian, but you're allowing let's catch that again.
James Madison and Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. These documents
Wait, the Declaration of Independence that says that you can overthrow an unjust government of tyranny? It's your duty? That Declaration of Independence, Glenn? Listen, I told him, wrong mom. Sorry, my light fell.
Or to be protected and defended.
Happens when I get
And
mad.
I have to say, I've watched the other party really erode many of the constitutional principles that I hold dear. And as Republicans, we should not contribute to this. And I think our job is to defend and protect the Constitution.
Sorry, juggling like 20 things. My light fell. Did he say that our job is to protect and defend the Constitution? Is that what I heard? It is? Okay. Keep that in mind because huge legislation coming based on the violations of the Virginia Constitution in education. It's coming. So let's just be really clear here. So obviously, President or Governor Trump never my president. I will move nations. Okay, I would rather be under Joe Biden than it's scarier to think of a nation under Glenn Youngkin. So okay, let's be clear. He literally just said the Declaration of Independence, which says what? It's our duty to overthrow an unjust, tyrannical government for what? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Okay, pursuit of happiness pretty much breaks down, if you read about all the documents, into like property, land. That's what all the founding documents, what they meant by. So if you don't know anything about the impending fourth industrial revolution, when I shared that about the Hunger Games, what they're doing over in the Netherlands, Sweden, like 3,000 farmers that these people have farmed their entire lives. It is like the most prosperous place to farm, but it's like literally the Hunger Games is that they have decided, nope, you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to be District 9 and you're going to make earrings. That's literally when I call him Klaus Schwab, mini Klaus Schwab, like that's what's coming is, so start, I'm going to, just real quick, he acknowledged that his job is to uphold all of these things. Okay. That would also be the First Amendment, no compelled speech. That would be pronouns. That would also be, let's see, anything. There's so many things in there. That would also be the Second Amendment. There would also be the 10th Amendment. There's so many great amendments. That would also be nothing in the Constitution goes to the states. Period. That would be upholding the Constitution. So it would seem that our governor, our lieutenant governor, and especially after yesterday's announcement coming out of Loudoun County from Yares, like that was a win. That was not a win. Firing and putting Scott Ziegler in jail would be a win. Putting the school board that was found to be criminals in jail would be a win. But a simple statement that we already knew and not having any action behind it is not a win. Period. Okay. They didn't need that statement from that court to fire Scott Ziegler because here's how a constitutional republic works. We, the people, hire the school board hires the attorneys and the superintendent. Your superintendent facilitates and covers up a rape. You fire them. It's that easy. One school board member makes a motion. One school board member makes a second. There, it's on the agenda. You don't want to vote for this? You're a criminal. You violated your oath of office. You don't belong sitting in that chair. That's how we have to start approaching this stuff. God, can I turn him off, please? Shut up. Okay. So from there, I want to take a quick stroll back through memory lane. And I'm not going to do these in any particular order because I didn't open them in a particular order. And therefore, I don't feel like I'm going to open them. So, all right. I want to show you guys something real quick, just to show exactly how involved I was in the campaign and how much I had to face that I had been screwed. My child had been screwed. Is this right here. This would be my daughter. This would be Glenn Youngkin sharing my daughter. That's in Clarksville, Virginia. My child shared from Glenn Youngkin. And look, that's my sister. Lowen's your #1 fan. Like, this is literally like, okay, I was totally Youngkinified. I've never hid that. So nobody can ever throw that in my face. But I'm an adult and I can recognize what is what and what is not. And anybody who cannot, then your job in life as a parent has been usurped, and you no longer can think, God, stop it. Sorry. All right. So this one is from, let's see, November. So this would be, no, let's go back to this one. I'm going to try and go in some kind of order. Sorry, I didn't order them first. Oh, look. Matt. Oh, Matt for president. That's all I'm going to say. Tara Durant's flipping out right now. God, y'all stop writing me, please, because you're slowing down my computer. Oh my God. Well, let's pick one because my computer. Oh, here's a good one. Let's talk about the infamous Terry McAuliffe quote that parents don't belong in their school system, because I really, parents have forgotten the context of that, what it was about. He was talking about the porn in the libraries, that it's still here. And he recently at the Vega thing at Matt Strickland's, where the whole GOP party was drinking, knowing he didn't have a license. Yeah. So parents went up to him, mothers, with the books. What are you going to do about this? And he, instead of this, let's remember the context of how the whole McAuliffe oops happened. Oh, is it muted? Oh, yeah.
Refusing to engage with parents.
Okay.
What we've seen over the course of the last 20 months is our school systems refusing to engage with parents.
Still happening.
In fact, in Fairfax County this past week, we watched parents so upset because there was such sexually
Stacey Langton, my girl up there.
They had never seen. It was shocking. And in fact, you vetoed the bill that would have informed parents that they were there. You believe school systems should tell children what to do. I believe parents should be in charge of their kids' education.
Mr. McCall, 30 seconds.
So first of all, this shows how clueless Glenn Youngkin is. He doesn't understand what the laws were because he's never been involved here in helping Virginia. But it was not. The parents had the right to veto bills, veto books, Glenn, not to be knowledgeable about it, also take them off the shelves. And I'm not going to let parents come into schools and actually take books out and make their own decision. So, yeah, I stopped the bill that I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
Hi, yeah, is this Patrick's mama? Yeah, just
Okay, sorry. So just real quick. So that was the context to how the oops statement came in, real quick. So don't forget that Terry's oops was over the porn in the libraries that we still struggle with. And Youngkin, on October 17th, told, and I have a mother at Gormel's, that there was nothing that he could do about it because it's First Amendment. No, Glenn, obscenity is not protected by the First Amendment. And then let's remember the statement and the context that got you elected. Okay? God bless you, y'all. I'm so tired of this. Trust me, it does not make me feel good. Oh, then let's go to this one. I was in Burke, Virginia. That would be Fairfax for this. let's listen to Youngkin talk about trust in schools. Oh, freaking mute button.
And if we cannot trust, must trust our schools. And at the heart of trust is safety. And if we cannot trust our kids to be safe in our schools, nothing else matters. We will hold accountable. We will. We will hold them accountable. Those to whom we entrust our children's hearts, minds, and well-being.
We will.
That starts with safety, and that starts today.
Now, Youngkin has clipped it out, the context of it, okay? So this would be a Youngkin video. He has clipped out the context. He was specifically talking about Loudoun County. That was his big Loudoun County, this will not stand in my Virginia. And when I'm elected, that's the context of that. Just to be really clear. Let me see if I can pull up. Oh, I went under. So at this point, if you want a fun account, back when if you thought I was, man, I had a potty mouth on me. If you don't follow Deplorable, she's still there and for a rainy day. So this is the one I shot. By the way, this thing here right here still pisses me off because I still get that text, our kids can't wait, which is what he's pulling on Facebook with Parents Matter. Or no, it's not even parents. It's a question. Do you think parents matter? Okay. This statement is now turned into a question. Don't click on that unless you want to be asked to give Youngkin money. For what? You're already governor. Jerome, if you're watching, can you hear that, or do I need to go in and turn my computer up? If you're still watching, is it loud enough or no? Anybody? I'm only getting YouTube comments, so you can review on here.
Let me start. We need to thank the Burke Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department. We have to thank them for keeping us safe all day, all night, all the work they do. Gentlemen, women, thank you so much.
Oh my God, it's not even playing. Okay, so sorry. God, I didn't realize that. Okay, so Jerome says it's not playing. Okay, so let me real quick take this off, and I'm going to talk for a second while I go in because I've been having audio issues. You know what? And that's the problem when you run a swamp wrecking show pretty much by yourself with one other devoted dad, because you don't compromise your values to take the big money to become relevant in the state of Virginia. Yeah, you can hear me well, but for some reason it's not playing the computer or the audio when I split screen. So let me go in and fix that real quick. So it's funny because a year ago, I don't play well with others. All the relevant groups across the state said that my approach was too aggressive because I was like, what are we going to do? Not talk about. And it's funny because I was told that my approach would never get me anywhere. And here I am, and I just had senators calling me next week because they want to be reelected. But senators calling me, wanting to get on my legislation. So let's just be real clear about who is and who is relevant. Okay, I think I'm good. Let's see if this works better. It might be because it's alive. I don't know.
Let's go, Glenn! Woo! Yeah!
Thank you all for being here.
I don't have time for this whole
into
thing.
our schools, escalating into violence in our schools that lack security. A new instance each week until the unthinkable happened. Virginia and America awoke to the news that a young teenage girl had been sexually assaulted in her Loudoun County school.
Okay. Loudoun County, girl assaulted, raped, transgender, huge statement,
And worse,
no follow through.
the school administrators covered it up.
Yes, they did.
Loudoun's Commonwealth attorney targeted the victim's family. Let me say that again.
This is why Miara is simply stating yesterday and people sharing, thank you. No. These statements made on the campaign trail that got you elected, that then, because after this led to Parents for Youngkin came next a couple weeks later. You don't do this on my campaign trail in my Virginia and then a year later deliver nothing and get away with it. And if it doesn't enrage every parent who's still waiting to be saved, he's not coming to save us. I'm a constitutional conservative. That means the Constitution, the foundation of America, comes before a political party. Period. All day. I'm not ruining the brand if I hear one more person judge me because I'm handing it to the left. No, I'm fixing what's broken. So if you still buy onto, oh, she's destroying the brand. No, I will no longer acknowledge that a red body in a red seat is doing anything for people who are actually conservative values. I will not. I will, until my dying day, I will never conform to you.
Yes.
I agree. I'm going to say that again. A young girl was sexually assaulted in her school, and the administrators, those who were entrusted with not only her
Thank you.
education,
You get it.
but her safety, tried to cover it up.
It's criminal.
I haven't watched this in forever. I forgot how important it was. He hates it right now.
An offender being prosecuted for sexual assault to another school.
Yes, that's called aiding and abetting a second rape. It's a criminal offense. It's a felony. So Jerome said, aren't the people that cover this up still walking free? They're not only still walking free, they're still sitting on a school board. The superintendent who covered it up is still the superintendent of Loudoun County, who covered up a rape, which has been proven. The school board found guilty of not doing their job yesterday. I couldn't even read Jason's BS amicus brief because there's no teeth. He didn't do anything. They're criminals. They're all sitting. And now do you know what they have to do? They have a 3 to 6 loony left school board. That 3, if they could get all 3, because not all 3 are true Republican conservatives, okay? If they could, that's why we need an attorney general to file criminal charges to get them off, because the board, now one of them up there, Tiffany, I don't know her whole thing, she said she did not care enough to even read it, what came out yesterday. That's what's going on in our state. There is no one to govern. A school board has to vote to fire a if the corrupt school board, 6. No. If you don't have the school board who helped facilitated and abetted the superintendent to vote to fire the superintendent, that's when you need, or that's the job of an attorney general. Okay? I am so tired. And if I was from Loudoun on day 1, on day 2, I would have given him day 1 to fix it. I would have been every day. What are you doing about this? You wrote on the back of one of our, you know, on the back into office. What are you doing? What are you doing? It took me in my mouth explaining to people, no, guys, here's how it goes. We don't need a Senate to change the transgender model policy because the law simply says it goes to the VDOE. And like school board policy, it was a transgender policy. The law simply says it has to exist. So when the new red government came in, the first thing I said was, when are you rewriting the transgender model policy? When are you rewriting the transgender model policy? When are you rewriting the transgender model policy? I know how it works. I read it. I know how it works. Just like any school board policy can be adopted and changed or can be revised at any single time. That's how it works at the department, which is actually the Board of Education, because they're appointed. The department is not. They are hired, much like the superintendent. See how that works? So when they blame things on the VDOE, remember, the Board of Education has the constitutional responsibility, and they cannot promulgate to the department. So when they blame things on the department, no. And just like school boards that blamed the curriculum they didn't know was there, sorry, read the Constitution. Blame the VSBA that you're still a part of that didn't teach you about what you're legally and constitutionally responsible for. Because I spent the last couple months, I was literally educating people that I knew were going to win school board seats on what was going to happen and their responsibility. You're responsible for what goes in those kids' brains. If you don't know what the curriculum is, because it's now 100% forced education software, that's on you. And if I had the money, I would go after every single person on a school board that does not know what's going in those children's brains. But guess what? We don't even have attorneys. We don't even have an attorney general.
Where he was able to do it again. 2 young girls have been sexually assaulted because our system failed to protect them. As a Virginian, I'm heartbroken for these girls and their families.
Really, Glenn?
Heartbroken at how their government and leaders failed them as a...
I haven't listened to this. Did he really just say how a government and leadership failed those girls who were raped? Yet here we are, a year later. The policy has not even been adopted, is not even in play, much less how divisions like Chesterfield, who with a 3 rhino, 2 liberal left radical lunatics, unanimously voted for it verbatim. No other division, not even Loudon, not even Fairfax, did that. How do you dismantle that? The damage done to the teachers who are no longer, they're desensitized to, oh, all children can go in any bathroom they want. Oh, you have 65 schools and only 21 listen to the rules. Everybody else is rogue. Okay. I've had to start intervening and being like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are you going to do that? Like, how are we dismantling this? How are we fixing this? My kids are out, remember? I got my kids out, but I'm still here. So let's just remember that the words of this man, and unfortunately, I think I made this video private, which I've got to figure out my account to go back into D. If you're friends with D, you can go in and it would be literally D-E-E, plural. That was my sister account. And then there's Annie Forte 5. Forte 5. Figure it out. And I have never been more mega in my life than I am right now. Ever. Especially after being at Gourmelt's on Friday to have a meeting with Matt Strickland at 10 o'clock. Talk about God being on time. Matt called me and he said, are you almost there? My wife just called me. The police are there. So I have video of me like driving and the cops are like, I mean, that is the corridor in this from Miami to Canada, the #1 corridor for child sex trafficking, for them to jump on, jump off and be gone forever. Yet they could get 50 stadies there to come. And so I did a live out there, and so this would be me being right on time. So people forget so easily. of what we hand over. Good for Matt Strickland. Because here's the thing. These people violate their oath of office, their fiduciary duty, and then many laws, actual laws, every single day. So if you're going to judge a man, and this is where the Hodge twins, Tim Cass, these in huge podcasts all over the nation grabbed this story. And this is why Durant is freaking. She's like, I am right now. Because it was the match. It was like the Mar-a-Lago of Virginia. It was, we saw the writing on the wall that our civil liberties are going to be stripped. Matt did what was right. And when the whole thing came out and he said, no, I'm not doing this. It's not constitutional. He knows his rights. And so this is just repercussions of something that happened back during the lockdown. Okay. And so anybody, especially on October 17th, when the entire GOP, including Glenn Youngkin, who made promises to Matt about getting rid of it because he was such an amazing patriot. This was, Miares did the same thing on the trail, on the campaign trail. And then Miares was pretty much, he got elected, Matt was like, what's going on? And it pretty much told Matt, yeah, you can't do anything else with that. Suck it up. And Youngkin, who used Matt to hold his stumping event for Vega, Matt approached him at that event, and Youngkin acted like he didn't know what he was talking about. So let's be clear about this. Who wants us to be a sovereign nation, a constitutional republic, where America, the foundation of America, is just, and it is what we fight for? It's not Glenn Youngkin. It is not Jason Miares. And I'm sorry to say, for those of you who still hang on to Winsome Sears, it is not her either. Because there is no way that a woman sandwiched in between that who keeps their mouth shut, I don't care how pissed you are, if you are the attorney general, who then thinks that they might become the lieutenant governor, and you sat in between those two and then think that you're going to become governor in my state after watching that, even if you did disagree, which he doesn't, then you're not going to become governor in my state because you sat and did nothing. That goes for everybody. If you run for election and you sit and you do nothing when you know it's wrong and I find out about it, no, you don't get to do that anymore in the state of Virginia. No, not happening. So I'll share this video just so I can go because I have kids to feed and stuff, and there's more videos. And I don't know if you guys ever caught this. So this would be Youngkin's version. So he clipped out all that. I have like 45 minutes of the actual live shot. And then he has these like 1 minute clips. If you go to like Glenn Youngkin Watch, you know, that way on Facebook. So then he has these like 1 minute increments. It's not none of them have the whole video that mentions the girls in Loudon, none of them. So, but I did miss this, you know, FYI, and you probably did too. Listen to this.
Going to take immediate action in regards to our kids' safety. Our kids can't wait.
Yeah, they can.
First, when I'm your governor,
Listen.
working
Oh,
for
wait.
you, every school will be required to have school resource officers on its campus.
Wait, it gets better. Wait, listen to this.
And let me be clear.
Let me be
They
clear.
will be on every campus, or that school will lose its funding.
What?
If you are a school board and you refuse to equip your schools with school resource officers to keep our children safe, you will need to find your funding for your school on your own.
Okay.
But no, it's, you know, it's just ridiculous.
So just to be, you know, I'm just going to go through these real quick. So I just wanted to be really, really clear. When we talk about promises not delivered, there's so many that we're not even talking about. So that one, let me be clear. I would like, who has division schools that still don't have resource officers? We're almost a year later. This statement here, let me be clear. If you're a school board and you are in a school and you don't have a resource officer, let me be clear. You need to find your funding elsewhere. Let me be clear. That's like day one. They don't mean anything anymore. Let me be clear. You're clear. Day one is day never. Like, so that's another one. Just, you know, real quick as I was going through, like, oh my God, did he just really say that? He did. Let's see. Let's pick one last. Oh, this one. This one is in Henrico. I was at this one too, but this is the live. I pulled this one up because you can hear it better. But let's see. So everybody questions me about Virginia being 50th in the nation for reading, 4th grade, literacy. That's actual reading literacy, because literacy now is technology literacy, media literacy. It's not what we think of. All words have been usurped. So everybody questions me. I tell them, how about pull up the May report from the 2019, the one that he talks about, the honesty gap, okay? It's called Our Commitment to Virginia. So I show these images because I have this thing called Mapping State Scores by the Institute of Education Sciences and NAEP. So when you pull up NAEP, and this goes to the VEA teachers stalking me at the last Board of Education meeting, I'm coming here clear to you. You're a teacher. If you don't know this, now you do. You pull up NAEP, it's going to say, I don't even know what it says we are. I got into it with at the Greater Richmond Republican Women last week with it, a teacher of 35 years who thought that she knew more than me. We are not last in the nation. Are you kidding me? How did you come up with this? She pulled up NAEP. You literally don't know how standards work. So like he does continuously admit, and this is where the liberals did what they did do. You can't meet the standards, you drop them. So over the course of like 12 years, they continuously dropped standards. Yes, they did. To make us look like we were doing better. This is what parents didn't know. Parents thought their children were excelling, but they're not. The standards had been dumbed down. The standards are the problem, first of all. But when you dumb down the standards, you really run into a wall. But here's what's really interesting. So, yes, we are 50th in the nation. You can pull up his report from May. And if you read the whole thing, this is what Youngkin doesn't say in his honesty gap, is he never explicitly says, you know, he calls it the honest. But if you go all the way, if you read the whole thing instead of the big pretty numbers that he gives you, and you go to the appendices in the back, there's the chart that has fourth. We are not only 50th in the state, we're the only state basic. Okay, it's like being called basic. Okay, proficient is not even anything you strive for. Basic, we're the only state basic, the only one. 10 years ago in 2009, when Virginia implemented college and career readiness, okay, there were 16 states basic. 10 years later, we're the only one. That's also what Youngkin left out. Because what he can't do, Klaus Schwab, global education, for his workforce, my child is not human capital for the Virginia labor pool. That kind of stuff is, if he was to acknowledge the full truth about the standards and how we went, so he shared the images that had us 50th. What he didn't share was the next page, which broke down 2009 to 2019, where it went from 16 states at basic to one, us. Why? Because I found this wonderful document. You can Google it and find it. And it's called Virginia, the History of the Standards of Learning. And it will tell you everything from George Allen to Gilmore to Tim Kaine, Bob McDonnell, how all of them played a part in this. Sorry if you love Bob McDonnell. Sorry if you love Gilmore. Sorry if you love Tim Kaine for 800 reasons. But they were all a part of this. So Bob McDonnell said, when they tried to bring Common Core in, because again, Republican teachers that are arguing that we did not have Common Core. Yes, we do. Because it's not called Common Core. Okay. It walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, and it has to align with every student succeeds under Obama. It is Common Core. Okay? When you have standards, teach to standards, there's a problem. That's when our education failed. Okay? There's no more curriculum. So here's the thing. So in 2011, I'm trying to think, Bob McDonnell. No. Bob McDonnell. So when Common Core started to come in, Bob McDonnell said, no, it's too late. We've been working on this. I'm doing math. 2010. Bob McDonnell said this because I can remember having this conversation. Bob McDonnell said, we've been working on this for 15 years. It's too late to turn around. And I have this memorized now. It's too late to turn around and go back when Common Core came about. So that would put it at 1995, which is when what? The standards of learning began to be implemented. Okay. I graduated high school in 98. I had no clue what anybody was talking about because I missed it. It's like the devil wanted me to just miss what understanding it was so that I wouldn't end up here. But there's God. And he brought me here anyway. So he admits, but we will do whatever is necessary to align with Common Core. And I've done shows, you can go to the channel, and I've shown people all this document like 15 times. We've had Common Core. It's dumbed down our children. Glenn Youngkin is only giving you half-truths. But right here, this is really interesting. And so this would be one of the last rallies. This was Henrico. I'm trying to go to the right so I don't play the whole thing. I actually wrote down the minutes. Catch this. Oh, God, why did you? Sorry.
Virginia, we want our kids to soar, not settle. This past year's test results really broke my heart. They came out this spring. White children in Virginia.
Wait.
55% excellence in our schools.
Okay, wait.
Excellence in our schools.
Don't forget. Oh.
When Terry McAuliffe was governor, he didn't like the fact that 88 schools failed to reach their accreditation. And rather than do the hard work and fix the schools, they just lowered the standards so not one would fail.
True. But accreditation now matters more than education, so I do have to say that.
Today, Virginia ranks 50th in the nation.
Okay? While campaigning, Glenn Youngkin already knew what he acted shocked about in this May report and then acted shocked about a month ago in the 2021. Okay, this isn't the only one. I pulled up the Richmond one out here at Chesterfield at the hangar, the airport hangar that I was at. He acknowledged it again. Glenn Youngkin knew while campaigning that we were 50th in the nation. He knew how to read NAEP scores, which teachers do not. So here, let's real quick.
When Terry McAuliffe was governor, he didn't like the fact that 88 schools failed to reach their accreditation. And rather than do the hard work and fix the schools, they just lowered the standards so not one would fail. That's what he did.
How did all these people not hear this?
Today, Virginia ranks 50th in the nation in standards for kids to progress in math, reading, 50th. And the scores show what low expectations results in. I mean, there's a famous statement about the soft bigotry of
Okay,
low
so
expectations.
to save time, I'm going to debunk everything that he just said with what I just told you about college and career readiness. So he's recently made the statement that they're going to fix college and career readiness. Here's the thing. Critical thinking, we'll go back to this. Critical thinking in kindergarten, new math, critical thinking, problem solving, not arithmetic, it is deliberate dumbing down. And he needs that. Why? Because he needs problem solvers for the 50 to 60% of jobs that have not been created yet. They will be created. It's not like mythical, because when you create the problem, you then create the solution. Okay, I don't even know how many World Economic Forum documents that you can read, UNESCO going back 30 years, that literally say this. So just that's real quick, and then I'm gonna close out with what should I close out with? Where did my sorry, I thought I had it pulled up. I must have closed it. So what I'm getting ready to show you would be Glenn Youngkin, Davos, Switzerland, 2019. He was there in 2019 and with China on America's economic resilience in 2020. So I wanted to all right, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna play typing in. By the way, the Hodge twins, and then if you're watching YouTube, look up Timcast. He's huge. He just did a thing on Matt Strickland. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Matt for president or vice president. But definitely, Matt. Matt is what we need. Matt is essentially someone who's going to go in there and not take any crap. And even if we only get Amanda Chase, Matt Strickland, and Lance Allen, and then maybe Mike Allers to go in there and upset the system, it would take Amanda plus 2 or 3 more, and it would only take that minimal amount of number. Like I've said, we only need 5 people like me to fight back against the establishment loud and not be elected officials to push back with intelligence and law to change the way that change the tide of the red wave, to actually make it red and not the red scare. So let's find it. God, there's so many Davos, Youngkin. Okay. No, I don't want China yet. Look at my history. I don't do anything, sorry, on my actual computer. I do like everything on my phone. So I'm just used to doing everything on my phone. I'm going to send it to myself. Unless I can find it. Which I can't. It takes too long. Okay, I'm sending it to myself. Hang on. All this stuff, guys, if you go to our YouTube channel,
what we saw really in the fourth quarter, and it showed up in the economic data, and we have a very large portfolio in China.
Oh, sorry, that was his very large portfolio in China. So we'll get to that one. If you go to our channel, you can go to Must Watch. And I've put a whole, whether it's good stuff or bad stuff or, you know, there's just various stuff in there, you know, Obama, I mean, critical race theory, SEL, Amy Gadara, you know, all kinds of stuff. Making me mad. Okay, I can't find this. Sorry. Now it doesn't want me to find it, which is pretty basic.
What we saw really in the fourth quarter.
Sorry. You want me to sing? Then I gotta go. Seriously. I could do this all night. Like, it really sucks because what I want to do is I want to blast the left like Mamie Locke for putting a bill in so that legally found mentally incompetent individuals can vote. Or, what is her name? Looney Tunes, I can't even remember. Whoever put in the new one that's literally creating, like, Biden's, like, truth committee, to to determine like social media, like what is disinformation, like a disinformation, like what is, somebody help me, what is her name? Whoa, I'll look it up in a second. Yeah, that was one I posted last night. They literally want to create a Virginia disinformation committee of 20 non-elected business, you know how that works, you know, non-elected business consumers, yada yada yada, to determine who is disinformation and what is not, and what is hate speech and what is not. Like, if that's not the scariest thing, yes, it is the scariest thing. All right, I'm just gonna send myself, I took a clip and I'm just gonna send myself the clip instead of the whole thing, because it's easier that way. All right, so get out of here. All right, hurry, 1, 2, 3. Okay, kids, I gotta feed. I wanted to get this done. So the point of this video, because I could really go through and devote probably a huge chunk of time.
And it showed up in the, we saw.
No, that's not what I want. I sent it to you. But guys, there's so much. If you really, you just have to look up like Carlisle, Davos, all that stuff. It's really not hard to find out what I've been talking. Why can't I pull up my history? Sorry.
You could draw that
Here it is.
conclusion, but I think if you
Okay, so I'm sorry. This would be a reason I can't find it is because I'm in the wrong year. So in 2019, he was with China. In 2020, he was testing America's economic resilience. Where is that? And guys, I'm not going to say that everybody in Davos is automatically evil. Majority. We would prefer that you were not there. But the majority, especially when you are talking the way that, you know, politics, the way that Youngkin, here it is.
If you went down into industries that are investing in new technology and investing in automation, you might find differences. You might find other industries are still able to make productivity. Internally, we set targets every year that we want our productivity to pay for wage increases every year. We ought to be able to at least do that. And that means we have to look at investments and other things to make that happen.
Specifically, the U.S. economy has been a jobs-producing machine.
Now listen to this, because he's talking about the U.S. economy. U.S. economy, the U.S. economy. So think about every other word in education excellence is the Virginia economy. Virginia economy. Literally, their definition of education excellence is to recover the Virginia economy, to recruit businesses and retain them. Oh, and then by the way, we would like children to earn a family supporting wage. That's their North Star. I've done 8 shows about it, so you can find the actual recording. You can find me at the Board of Education blasting the Gadara truth. And so when you look back on time, so remember, this is 2020. So this would be like right before he quit his job. Anybody else that says he got fired, don't do it. Quit his job to run for governor. And then miraculously, miraculously rich man in a closed convention that wasn't a convention, it was rank choice. All of a sudden, this man that nobody knew about, whoa, miraculous. I mean, just listen, it's like he's fortune telling.
Up to 2.5 million jobs a year. We've said the unemployment rate very low. How much longer can that go on, given the inevitable?
There's 1 million more job openings than there are people willing to take those jobs today.
Okay, listen to the words. There's 1 million more job openings than people are willing to take the jobs for, okay? If there's 1 million more people, why are we training children for the 4th Industrial Revolution? Question number 1.
United States. Yeah. And so we're going to figure this out because we have to. And when you look at the opportunity to sell a new product or open a new facility or launch a new service, and if you don't have the right folks to do it, go find out how to do it, and you partner with a community college, and you come up with a job training program, and you go to the service alumni fairs, and you literally, business is going to figure this out because we have to.
Okay, so what did he just say? You go and you partner with the community college. What have they done? Lab schools. They've partnered with universities. Lab schools, guys, here's the thing. Because it says lab in it, it has nothing to do with STEM. Okay, you can look it up. It is literally research on education. It's like science experiments on kids using teachers who are not teachers. They are in a teaching college to become teachers. Okay, and don't forget, we know what teachers are learning right now. Lab school, not about STEM. Be clear.
The economy's growing. There's new job opportunities, and we need to fill them.
Let's talk about this, if I may again come back to you, Secretary, at this point that Geeta raised about corporate debt, corporate leverage has dramatically increased in the last 10 years or so.
So guys, remember.
There's 1 million more job openings than there are people willing to take those jobs today in the United States.
Yeah.
And so, we're gonna
Sorry,
figure this
so
out.
I reversed that. Okay, there's 1 million more job openings than are people are willing. Remember, he says willing, not actual. Okay, not actually there. Like, it would be different if there was 1 million more jobs than there are people. But he says willing to take. So therefore, what does it become? The job of our children to not be what they want to be, not to educate them with classical education, academics. Okay? They have to train them to become workforce education. It is indentured servitude. Your child is being driven, and
Because we have to.
because we have to.
And when you look at the opportunity to sell a new product or open a new facility or launch a new service, and if you don't have the right folks to do it, go find out how to do it. And you partner with a community college, and you come up with a job training program, and you go to the service alumni fairs, and you literally, business is going to figure this out because we have to.
Business is going to figure this out because we have to. The fourth industrial revolution is coming. Business is education is business. They're using our children for the guys. It's all out there. I have a manual. It's a gold arm, not even a real one. It's a gold, like a mechanical. No, it's a robot arm holding an apple, and it's how to educate in the fourth industrial revolution. This is not a conspiracy theory, guys. There's 100 million different dollars. All you have to do is Google, what is a global citizen? What is global citizen education? GCE, global, it's a thing. You will go to, they'll take you to UNESCO, they'll take you to 800 million different places that tell you what it is, and they'll have those diagrams with the pictures that I show you.
U.S. economy in the
Well,
next
I mean,
year?
and the way I see it, one reason we've seen
Geopolitical issue, and I think which
Glenn, you noted that expansions don't die of old age. The U.S. expansion is more than 10 years old. Let me ask each of you very quickly: what are the odds? What are the chances that we're here in 2025, and this expansion is still going?
Yeah, absent some material geopolitical issue, and I think which we don't expect to happen. I think that we will still be in a period of low growth, low interest rates, and high asset prices in 5 years.
I mean, like I mentioned, we have a projection.
So guys, this man, okay, we have to remember that his life has been spent wealth and assets and money, okay? Our children are nothing but that to him. Actually, they actually refer to teachers as human capital, like we're cattle. So ignoring things like this, said by Glenn Youngkin, in Davos, Switzerland. And then real quick, I want you to understand what I said in the beginning about Trump, his racist comment against Youngkin, is if you know, it wasn't a classic Trump, like, it wasn't the smartest thing to say. Yeah. But was it a racist slur? No, absolutely not. It was because he was in Davos with Youngkin, and he knows who Youngkin is. It was like a jab, like, I know who you are. And that would be in 2020. They were both, hold on. Let's see, no. Let's see. All right. I hear children screaming, so I'm going to go. Oh, here it is. China's economic outlook. If you weren't aware that an entire round in Davos, that would be 2019, Youngkin was on stage in Davos with China
country status?
Not some sort of an agreement to really closely pay attention to technological advancement, whether it is from the United States standpoint, state supported, or if it is protected in some way. The United States it's not Republicans versus Democrats. The United States is absolutely unified, and policies will be enacted in order to put even higher protective mechanisms around technology issues in the United States.
Really? Really? Except for children. So he's saying that Republicans and Democrats are united in protecting technology. That would be data. That would be the VCDPA coming up on January 1st. And he's
a whole reform on all of our CFIUS legislation, which
CFIUS,
does
look it up.
govern the transfer of technology. And what landed was more protective. And if we don't begin to see progress, which is why I think Tim and I continue to be hopeful that there's an agreement, because on most of these topics, it is not Republicans versus Democrats when it comes to the technology issues. There is a very, very clear, unified view for that.
Which is pretty concerning, and I also think it's one of those things. It's not all facts-based, because it involves a lot of projection based on what you see.
Okay, so I've got to go. Hey, Wikipedia snippet. Just, a lot of Youngkin truth that I'm hoping maybe I can open up one eyeball in one person a day. That's kind of my goal. Because they have completely and disturbingly looked away from, you've got people all over the nation talking about UNESCO, the truth about everything that I talk about, but then they're absolutely ignoring who our governor is. So I'm going to go because I can hear I have a 5-year-old and an almost 13-year-old battling. But I wanted to remind you guys, okay, if you're just catching this. So this would be Glenn Youngkin on October 16th. That's my child. That's my 5-year-old who was 4 then in Clarksville, Virginia, in Mecklenburg County, where my family grew up. That's my 12-year-old standing over her. And this was in, I can't even tell you how many slideshows I heard it was in. So that's my child. So here's the thing. When I tell people, wrong mom to use my children, to think that you're going to use my children. And I told him this, and I said, don't be the person that I hear that you are. Because as hard as I worked for you, I will. And I'm sad that I had to, because I thought I was probably going to have peace. Well, it doesn't look like that's in the cards for me. So wrong mom and wrong child to lie to. I'm going to close this out. When you pull out accidentally a red Glenn Youngkin cup out of your thing, and your 5-year-old who calls him Mr. Longlegs and could run up to him and he would know her name. When this happened last night. When that happens and your child looks at you and says, "Thank you, Mommy, for giving me Mr. Virginia's cup," it invokes a sense of nausea, sadness, anger, rage, and fear of the innocence of my child, that because she was 4 and in preschool, she went around with me to a lot of things. And she got to know Glenn very well. And I did it. I wasn't a volunteer. I wasn't a registered door knocker, okay? I freely went around. I did what I call alley rallies, because I'm in the restaurant business. It's Saturday with Matt Gutman and Joseph and them down at Chesterfield to tell them what Chesterfield needed to hear. So I almost feel like I'm part of the cabal because I helped flip this county. This is what Chesterfield parents want to hear when you go door knocking. And if I couldn't be there in person, I would type it out, which is what's going on in Chesterfield this week, and this is what people are going to want to know about. So I was very much a part. And I did throw all of my t-shirts away. My Women for Youngkin Christmas party champagne splits with Young Again got thrown out. Everything done. But this cup, my daughter, I accidentally pulled it out last night, and it broke my heart for my 5-year-old to look at me. "Thank you, Mommy. I love Virginia, and I love Mr. Virginia, because we used to listen to Spirit in the Sky every single morning on repeat going to preschool. And it popped up yesterday on my 2022 Apple like favorite hits, and I found myself listening to it before it even hit me, like, what is it, like Gloria, and I'm like, hell no, because the spirit of Virginia is fake, or it is nauseating, or it is absolutely dystopian, or if you live in the world that I do, it is one where our freedoms are being removed from us bit by words like inquiry learning, project-based learning, play-based learning, global citizen, critical thinking, all of these terms that are destroying children. And the reason why our children are 50th in the nation in Virginia is because that started in 2009 when they began college and career readiness. There were 16 states, I'll close this out, and if you've watched the whole thing, I'm sorry, I'm being repetitive. There were 16 states in 2009 that were basic. The worst thing ever. 10 years later, after college and career readiness, one state is basic. 16 are not. One. If you can't equate the two, then I can't help you. You must have learned new math under the standards of learning in Virginia. This would be sight words. This would be new math, which I have a diagram here I show all the time. Okay. New math right here, which is what you've probably had it with your kid. Round up to 20 instead of just doing this, which is called arithmetic. Round up, you get 30. But don't forget, you got to subtract the 3 that you took from 17. You got to subtract the 2 that you took from 8, and that's 25. Not this. Sorry, I'm mirrored. Not this on how you add. No. This is arithmetic. Arithmetic would mean that you would learn to love math, or maybe not. But they don't want math lovers. They don't need mathematicians, okay? They need these jobs that have yet to be created for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which require critical thinking, which require problem solving. That's what this is. You can't go from this to loving algebra, logarithms, calculus. That's why they're teaching sight words. So when you say critical thinking, before it comes out of your mouth, or you say the word 21st century skills, and you don't want me to automatically just drop you in the swamp, think about the words that are coming out of your mouth. Okay? Don't say things you don't understand, and certainly don't regurgitate with the replies unless you are part of the problem. Okay? If you're not questioning everything coming out of their mouths, including Glenn Youngkin's, okay? That's very important. Like in the beginning, what we talked about. You know, okay, real quick. So we talked about Youngkin's statement and we played, his video. I completely disagree with Trump's comment. What was Trump's comment? Trump's comment was strictly about election fraud, etc. So, okay, so here's my post. Why does that pop up every time? So, remember, he's disagreeing with his comment, but if you're not questioning every word coming out of here, he's disagreeing with Trump's comment about massive fraud, widespread. And don't forget, even if he had said, we need to overthrow America, they would say, there he goes again, inciting a riot, inciting violence. And it's wonderful, if you didn't see it today, up at Congress, I shared it on, I think, both my pages, but I definitely put it under must watch if you're on YouTube. They were at war about parents as domestic terrorists, and I think it was Joy, one of them, I can't remember who, brought up the fact of California, I believe it was like Wisconsin, but what is that you won't even acknowledge all violence is wrong. But first of all, parents have never been violent, okay? Even though we should. Just say, not gonna. Don't say report me, because I'm just saying, do we have the right to be angry? Yeah, absolutely. on so many levels. Both parties, especially the governor that we elected, we the people, got lied to. Nobody talks about it. So that's the important thing. Do we have the right? Yeah. Did Antifa have the right to burn down about like 25 cities and not be called terrorist? No. You don't get to do that anymore. You don't get to call me a terrorist because I care about my children and I get pissed. And if you don't do your job as an elected school board, like fire Scott Ziegler, okay, I'm going to get very mad at you. Am I a domestic terrorist that needs to have the DOJ come invest me and come after me? No. If you don't hold Antifa responsible for burning down our cities, because all of a sudden, what, George Floyd's death is more important than a generation of children being sexualized, groomed, and destroyed for your fourth industrial revolution, deliberately dumbed down, that deserves, I'm not saying that it's okay, I don't ever advocate for violence, I advocate for this. Truth, unapologetically, I will never apologize, because what I do is research, it's fact, it's truth, I don't just give opinions, okay? So, wouldn't it be great if parents could use one person's death, one child's rape, to, I mean, I'm not saying it would be great, but if anybody could go burn down cities and not be held accountable, but people who give birth or adopt or take care and care about other children as their own parents, guardians, grandparents that are doing it all over. I mean, I know more grandparents fighting for their kids as their sole providers than parents. But me, I gave birth to my children. So you want to tell me that my outrage over what's happening to my children, which is the death and murder of innocents, I don't have the outrage, but over one man's death, because it was a white cop on a black man, you can burn cities down, but they're not terrorists. But I'm a terrorist because I go to a school board meeting and yell at a school board who will not do what the Constitution tells them to? No. No. Because every time we allow that, we hand them over a little bit more of our sovereign nation. We are a sovereign nation, standalone. No global citizen. Every time you acknowledge the word global citizen, you are giving a little bit of America to the UN, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, okay? No. We are American citizens, okay? First of all, I hate that word, okay? We are Americans. There's nothing wrong with being Americans. There's nothing wrong with being Virginia and being proud of Virginia has amazing history. And Jennifer McClellan, I would love to know, by the way, because I know one of your Looney Tunes is watching this, where in the world did you go to school as a product of Virginia that didn't teach you slavery at all? That's on another show that I did. Please. I would love to know, because I went K through 5 to a private Episcopal school, learned about slavery. 6 through 12, Chesterfield County, living here still, fighting to restore my Chesterfield, that I got an amazing education in. Okay, that's not being taught now. Where in the world did you go? Because there's another show on here. It says, I find your lack of logic disturbing. And then it's got a picture of her. And it's got a recording of her saying that she never learned about slavery in Virginia as a product of Virginia public schools. I would like to know, where did you go to school? Because then I will research and prove you're lying. But that is the craziest thing I have ever heard, to say, I never learned about slavery. Bullshit. No. Absolutely not. Lying. 100%. You did not learn about it once. Because what they want to do is they want to teach lynching like 8 times PK to 12. Like 8 times. Let's just talk about all lynching all the time. Okay, they want to teach it every grade, and this is where the Republicans come in, but they want to think about it critically. Okay? They want to think about it like problem solving, or like, it's not actual, there's no more facts. There's no more facts. That's where it's social study skills. It's no longer history standards of learning. It is social study skills. Anytime you see the word skills and competencies, those are like non-cognitive things. They're not academic. Thank you, Zach. I mean, That's even, so you're old, so you're younger than me. Like I graduated high school in 98. Okay, so even in 05, Zachary said that they were still learning about slavery. They're still learning about slavery. Okay, everyone is. But this is the problem with critical race theory and critical race theorists and critical violent extremists. These people, they are a black hole. And this is where I will prove that I am 100% nonpartisan. All I care about is fact, logic, the law, and Constitution. Is that I just went on a rhino, but I will now jump to the left. With critical race theorists, radical extremists like the NAACP, is that go to a Board of Education meeting in the next week. Watch the line of left that will drive from every corner of Virginia to be at that meeting to tell them, shame on you. I'm not saying that, I'm not slamming Sikhs or anything, but that's just the prime example because it was all over the news. Is that, okay, if we're going to obliterate Virginia's history, America's history is whitewashed. It's all racist because it was founded by white people. And then replace it with, because guys, here's the thing, Sikh history, this is a wonderful blended melting pot of everybody who used to love each other and see each other as equals. Now what they're teaching children with equity is that this is where identity politics comes in. You have to acknowledge their skin color, their ethnicity, their race all the time. If you don't, you are spirit murdering their black joy. Not lying. I will never teach my children to look at somebody as the color of their skin and constantly acknowledge it, or let them be looked at strictly as blonde white children with blue eyes. No, they are miraculous beings that can be anything they want, and the color of their skin and what they look like has nothing to do with who they are or what their potential is as humans. I am a quarter Dutch Jew, a quarter Iroquois, and half German. What does that make me? My marginalized is canceled out by my non-marginalized. Because I look 100% like Dutch Jew, Iroquois, Indian, but really German too. So why does that matter? Nobody's asking me constantly what I am. Oh, they just all look alike. No. Because your skin is a different color, you don't get special treatment. Because you don't know what I am. Because I don't constantly tell you. And you're not going to do that to my children. And I'm certainly not going to let my children be taught that. That they have to acknowledge all the time a person's skin color. Because that is the opposite of what the person that they were so mad about that accidentally got in a revision like 85 times, that accidentally got, oops, humans make mistakes, it wasn't intentional. The person they were so angry that the standards accidentally omitted is the person that everything they stand for is against. Okay? They're so angry because that you deleted Martin Luther King. But literally every single thing that you stand for is anti-Martin Luther King. You're not about equality. Martin Luther wanted to be treated equal. Okay? He did not want to be treated better or be elevated. He just wanted to be equal. All men are created equal. Not all men are created equate. Okay? Because the belief that you give one child more based on the color of their skin from birth, and that means that you give the other child less because of the color of their skin from birth, which is what equity in our schools is. It's not based on how much money your parents make, or if you're a poor white child or a rich black child. It is strictly based on skin color. That is racism. You don't get to claim racism, okay? You don't get to claim segregation, like shame on you for using that word, I'm black. No one race owns the word racism, okay? There is anti-white racism, and that's what I experience a lot. And because I acknowledge that, my white fragility is not showing. My white privilege is not showing. That would be me being an intelligent human being, with the last question I'm going to tell you being history standards of learning. Here's the thing. Where in the history standards does it state that the Democrats owned the slaves and the Republicans freed them? Are you going to put that in there? Because if we're going to teach slavery, that seems like that would be a very important thing that you would want to acknowledge. But will it be? Because it would completely disrupt the narrative. If you taught children all of history, which would be that the Democratic Party owned the slaves and the Republican Party freed them. What would that do? But that's the facts. Don't believe me? I'll call Thomas Sowell. I will call Larry Elder. I will call every successful and amazing Black conservative who acknowledges, if you haven't seen Uncle Tom or Uncle Tom 2, watch them. The Hodge twins, people that will say this is absolutely just the worst thing ever. Why? Because Black children are not learning anything else. It's all a lie. All children are failing. Equity especially. Forcing a child through? So yay, bravo. The graduation for Black children went up. You're looking at the wrong thing. You're looking at the wrong thing. Just because graduation went up or accreditation went up doesn't mean education went up. Okay? Those are not the things we should be looking at. Great, more people graduated. Are they any smarter? We're looking at the wrong thing. I get to go. My kids are probably flipping out. I hope they're still alive. But yeah, sorry. I'm going to try to break this up because I know that some people 2 hours is too much for people. Actually, an hour 41, I'm doing good. But it's never, people are like, Anne, you just really need to focus on one issue. I can't. I literally can't. I try to. But it's all connected. And once you understand it's all connected, I can't talk about one thing without having it connected. I can't talk about Glenn Youngkin's failure in one area without talking about anything else. It's all connected. So go back through, and I have a whole selection of videos, and I will share them. And you can watch his lies, promises not delivered. And if you still are going to wait, sorry, no one's coming. No one's coming. My advice is get people on your school boards who will become the iron wall between the government, not a political party, the government and our children, who understand violation oath of office, who understand the Virginia Constitution, your state constitution, the United States Constitution. Because at this point, the only people who are going to save these children is school board. And you have to have people on there willing to day one, when they are presented with something like a transgender model policy that removes parents. Parental rights are a fundamental right. Every school board member in this state that voted to adopt that policy, everybody should have, if I had known back then, I would have gone using the clause that aggrievability, you can go to circuit court 30 days and file a grievance against the school board. That's a thing. That's part of the legislation that'll be coming out. And as soon as it does, it's going to be in the Senate and the House. Yes, it is. I have 2 pieces of legislation coming out to protect all children. They are not racial or cultural war driving. They are strictly what is on the books that every parent should have the right to have access to. And it's law. It's current standing law. So I dare Louise Lucas or Mamie Locke or any of them to vote it down, because I will come after you for violation oath of office, because you take one too, that you will uphold the Virginia and the United States Constitution. So if you vote down 6 pages of law on the books that school boards are not listening to, I dare you. I'll just end it with that. I know more than you want me to know, and I don't care. Y'all have a good one. I'll talk to you later.